Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. Before I get going in this whole 1 hour session, I would like to first thank all our customers who have joined this call. Clearly, uh, there's a huge demand for a change in the way we look at built environments, and today's session is really talking about how Johnson Controls is partnering with all of you, our key customers, to really drive the change that is required in our built environments. Before I get going, I would also, on behalf of the entire leadership team and the Asia Pacific management team, I would like to thank all of you for your business with Johnson Controls and many years of partnership. I would like to kind of set the stage for today's call, and if you can move to the next slide. Up to now, when we talked about built environments, we always had an emphasis on sustainability and energy. And really, that drove a lot of value propositions in terms of how built environments are managed and operated. But with COVID coming in the picture, the entire built environment space has actually changed the dynamics. There is a huge requirement on how space is going to be managed in the future. As part of Johnson Controls' core business in the built environment space, we recognize some of these challenges that all of you, including us, are going to face. And really, the big change in mindset is around the built environment space. It's around how do we ensure these spaces are optimally utilized? How do you ensure safety of the occupants? How do you ensure security? And how do you look at the conditioned space within the built environment? So really, starting from the very base level, level one, which was traditional way of looking at built environments, there is a push to move towards the mobility intelligence, the spatial intelligence, the wellness intelligence, and the behavioral intelligence of the built environment. And what you will find today really is a suite of applications and use cases that Johnson Controls is building on, recognizing the need that space and how space is going to be used in the future is going to be critical, as far along with an equally important aspect around energy and sustainability. So with that, I would like to really introduce the team, my team of speakers who have prepared an exciting 1 hour session, really talking through the overall offerings that Johnson Controls has. Introducing myself, I'm Swarup Biswas, VP and GM of Service Business in Asia Pacific. I've been with the company for 25 years. We have Deepak, who is with the company for 3 years, and he's based out of Singapore. We have Julian calling in from Tokyo, 11 years in the company. We have Subra, who is based in Kuala Lumpur. He's 25 years with the company. We have Ken Lim, who's based in Singapore, who is around 20 years with the company, and Samit, who is calling in from Sydney. He is 21 years in the company. So we have the experts in the built environment space, and they are going to talk about how not only do we look at sustainability, but how the space of the future is going to be defined post-COVID as we get back to the new normal of utilizing the environment and ensuring the safety of the occupants, and really driving a new norm in the buildings space. So with that, short introduction, I would like to hand this over to Deepak, who is going to guide us through the rest of the program. Deepak.
Yeah, thank you, Swarup. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Deepak Chandrasekharan. I'm the Executive Director of Sales Support at Johnson Controls. And I'm super excited today to be part of this discussion, connecting with all of you, our key customers in APAC region. So before we get started with the content of today's discussion, I would like to share some information about this session, some ground rules. So this session is being recorded, but your personal information will be kept confidential here. Participants will be muted for the session. However, we encourage you to raise questions throughout the session. At any time during the webinar, please put your questions in the chat box, and our experts will answer your question during the Q&A session at the end of webinar. Any unanswered questions, we will generate a FAQ and send it to the participants in a few days. We will also be running a few polls along with this presentation to get your feedback on these solutions throughout this presentation. So please vote for your through the poll questions when they pop up on your window. So with that, let's go to the next slide. Let's jump into the presentation for today. So before we get to talking about the solutions for the new norm, I would like to highlight that we at Johnson Controls were involved in helping with the pandemic situation from the very beginning at Wuhan, where we organized and mobilized a team in 12 hours. And the teams really helped in rebuilding and equipping 860-bed critical center with safety assurance and network communication system at Taikang Tongji Hospital in Wuhan. So we continued our efforts to support our customers to convert spaces to patient care facilities across the globe, including North America and Europe, from Asia, where we started our first efforts in APAC. So over the last 6 to 8 weeks now, we have been focused our efforts in bringing solutions that our customers will require in the new post-COVID-19 world, which we call the new norm. Sam, can we go to the next slide, please? So as we start to reopen our facilities, right, whether it's offices or manufacturing centers, distribution centers, data centers, airports, restaurants, retail store, etc., any common space that you are involved in, all of us are thinking about our safety, security, and wellness of our employees and customers who visit our facilities. So in our presentation today, our team will share with you a high-level overview of products and solutions we have developed to address these critical requirements in our new norm. And based on your interest that we will capture through the polls, our team will follow up with you in the next week or so to provide our support to you. So it is important to know that our solutions are continuously evolving, and we are making progress to adding more to power your mission. So for our conversation today, we will focus on 4 requirements that have been listed on this page. The number 1, safety and security, where we will be talking about our latest thermal camera that we have, along with contactless access control. Then we'll jump into health and wellness, more around the clean air and air quality management. We have a very, very relevant topic around social distancing and contact tracing. And then last but not least, we'll talk about our sustainability program around remote operations and energy optimization. So we have lined up some great experts here, like Swaroop had introduced earlier, who will take you through these solutions today. So with that, let me hand it over to Subra to talk about our first solutions here around safety and security.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Subra. As the building and facility opens up, the need to ensure peace of mind for people going back to work is very important. The first level of screening, the human temperature as they walk into the facility, helps to prevent people who are having fever from entering the facility. Currently, most of the sites of facility are using traditional methods like handheld temperatures, which performs well as is highly accurate and recommended by the health department. However, the method have obvious challenges: close contact, which is a high risk, high cost in long run, and low efficiency. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds to screen per person, so that takes a lot of time, right? It's difficult to track as done manually, and prone to error as done is not done. Provide timely feedback for analysis. The JCI solution help automate these challenges. The JCI Smart Temperature Screening solution comprises of dual sensor, one thermal, the other color camera, and a temperature calibration device called as black body. The thermal camera uses a high resolution 5 megapixel camera. As the subject walks in the area of detection or field of view, the camera, which uses advanced facial detection technology, detects faces and then measures the temperature of the forehead. The temperature is displayed real time. At the same time, the event is recorded for future use. In case high temperature above the threshold is recorded, an alarm is sounded and is visually displayed in screen for further action. The device is able to capture people at the distance from 2 to 6 meters away from the camera. Another plus point is that it also can detect up to 30 people in the field of view at any one time. It helps the throughput. It also has the ability to integrate alarms sent to video management system or external alarm tools such as access control system. The thermal detector is automatically calibrated with a black body device by reading a preset temperature value continuously. This is important because it ensures the accuracy is maintained at plus or minus 0.3 degrees Celsius. The thermal camera and the black body are usually mounted on a tripod and kept at opposite ends of each other in the field of view in the range of 2 to 3 meters apart. To summarize, the JCI thermal cameras come with advanced face detection engine to ensure only the forehead temperatures can be detected and hence reduce false reading, high accuracy plus or minus 0 with a black body. It's quite flexible. It has multiple options to fit and it's quick to set up. It's less than 30 minutes. And lastly, it's fast and reliable. Next slide, Sam. The next topic, I'll introduce our frictionless access solution. Before that, I'd like to talk a bit what are the current challenges in the current access system post-COVID-19. Anything touch-based is now considered unhygienic. Access cards and push-button access solution can present hygiene risks. Sites which has biometrics, which are touch-based, example like finger scan, keypad type access readers are some of the examples. And the other thing also is the risk of card passback, which allows intruders to gain entry, and it will not allow to track the people who have entered into the zone or area. Our JC solution is the Elastra Insight, which combines the quality of surveillance of leading-edge facial recognition camera integrated with a comprehensive access control device. It's engineered with deep learning algorithm and cybersecurity protocols. The device is designed to create frictionless experience for all. The Elastra Insight, as shown in the far left corner of the presentation, has a 2 megapixel inbuilt dual lenses. At the end of this presentation, we'll show you a short clip to showcase how this product works to give you a better visual understanding how it functions. It's a solution designed and positioned for access control only. It uses face as an identity to gain or deny access. Unlike cards, this identity are not going to be lost or missing. The solution is able to detect a person as they walk in 1.5 meters to 2 meters away from the Elastra Insight and uses advanced AI to process the data and make decision either to grant or deny access. Elastra Insight utilizes 2 optical image lenses to create a 3D facial topology that can quickly distinguish between an actual human and a picture of a human, greatly increasing accuracy with reducing false positiveness. End of the day, it prevents spoofing. Example, if the person takes a face print of a valid access holder and he shows directly to the camera, it is able to distinguish the liveness and hence reject or deny the access. It has an accuracy of 99%. It is driven by Tycho AI deep learning, and it has been tested with more than 1 million faces of different ethnicity and gender, and hence its accuracy. It's continuously updated. The response time is very fast, less than 1 second, and it hence improved flow of users and secure and access control. In terms of system and security, it's scalable, GDPR friendly, and also all the encrypted unique facial biometric does not store information such as name, gender, and age. It has visual display and intercom capability. It shows green when access is granted, wait when it's denied, and can be followed by a pre-programmed message using the SIP protocol for voice communication. The solution is fully integrated with our world-class access control system, both secure and CEM. All the enrollments are done centrally. The video feed also can be used and integrated with the NVR as it uses a standard on-wave protocol. In summary, it's fast, safe, smart solution which eliminates the needs of access control cards. Next one, we're going to play a slide, short video to show visually how it looks like and how it works. Sam?
Not recognized. SIP call initiated. Access granted. Access denied. Teresa Duffin. Welcome visitor Lee Corey. Welcome Laura McCarthy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subra, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Lim. Before I start on introducing the HVAC solutions to improve indoor air quality, let me quickly provide a quick overview on today's common IAQ concerns. Listed on this slide, right, on the left-hand side are four common IAQ problems that we're facing today. Now, first is on particle matter, commonly known as PM. These are very small particles in the environment and light enough to float around and be carried in the airspace we are occupying. Numerous scientific studies have linked particle pollution exposure to a variety of problems, including decreased lung function, increased respiratory symptoms such as irritation of the airways, coughing, or difficulty in breathing. The second one is bioeffluent, which in short or in summary is organic contaminant that emits from the body of humans or animals. They can be harmful when we breathe in this contaminant air and making us sick. Next is volatile organic compounds, more commonly known as VOCs, which are organic chemical whose composition makes it possible for them to evaporate under normal indoor atmospheric conditions. temperature as well as pressure, and it creates its presence right in the environment and affect the IAQ. Health effects VOCs will include issues like eye, throat irritation. An affected person may experience headaches, loss of coordination, nausea, just to name a few. Last but not least, is the most concerning factor as we face the COVID-19 pandemic. And this IAQ issue will be the microorganism which exists in the environment as bacterium, virus, or fungus. I think I do not need to elaborate on the harmful effects when breathing in this harmful microorganism, but I would like to remind everyone that it can cause serious implications and even in death in severe case. Now, while it's not possible to eliminate 100% of these harmful contaminants, the least that we should do is to reduce as much harmful pollutants as possible in the environment. IAQ used to be a nice to have, but learning from COVID-19 pandemic, we should now acknowledge that good IAQ is a must-have, right? Especially in an enclosed space. Now, as countries are coming out or already after the lockdown, from the lockdown, IAQ remain a top concern for many people. Bottom line is that we simply cannot afford another mass outbreak or allow the virus to continue to spread. Now, as people are coming out to interact and socialize again, many will be wondering if the offices, the malls, airports, cinemas, etc., right, that they're entering have good IAQ, and if the air that they're breathing in is clean and free from viruses. So with this, I'm going to introduce 3 IAQ solutions from Johnson Controls. We do have more than these 3 IAQ solutions available, but due to the interest of time, I'm going to focus on the top 3 most applicable and easiest to implement. Now, do feel free to reach out to us if you need more information or would like to explore more solution options. Now, firstly, we have the MS Air bipolar ionization. So what this solution does is to disinfect air by producing and distributing a controlled amount of positive and negative air ions, which interact with positively charged elements. Right, so these ions will then attach themselves to the virus and pull the hydrogen molecule of the virus to combine and form into water vapor, and thus making them inactive and cannot infect even if it enters into our body. Now, unlike traditional ionization options or solutions, bipolar ionization does not rely on contaminants passing through the cleaning unit to be cleaned. Bipolar ionization process allows for air cleaning to occur within the desired space, treating a larger volume of air within the breathing range, and does not produce harmful chemicals or products such as ultraviolet and ozone. Now, it's very effective against bacteria, spores, VOC compounds, and particle matter. The good thing about this technology is that it treats the source of contamination, which is essentially the air that we are breathing, in a continuous manner, and thus can help with the reduction on the spread of virus like COVID-19. Bipolar ionization can be incorporated into central HVAC system or used as a standalone unit, and it will not restrict airflow when incorporated into central air systems such as air handling units, bank coils units, and also in the air duct system. Now, the next solution I'm going to introduce is the ultraviolet light purification, which is commonly seen in healthcare environment. The brief working principle of UV light is that the light will penetrate the cell wall of microorganisms and alter the DNA structure to make them non-viable and unable to reproduce or infect. Now, this is a very effective method to kill microorganisms, but the setback is also that it's very dependent on the contaminants being exposed to the light field for a period of time long enough for the contaminant to be eliminated. Also, UV light can only be used to treat contaminants that pass directly through the light field, and other air such as ambient air or infiltrated air, right, coming out from the environment or outside the building or the room, which does not enter through the light field, will not be able to be treated. Now, while UV light is effective on deactivating harmful microorganisms, it is not effective on VOCs, gaseous compound, odors, and reducing particle levels. It is also important to know that UV light can be dangerous, particularly on higher band. So precautions need to be taken, such as putting in or installing an automatic cutoff switch to prevent accidental exposure. Similar to bipolar ionization solutions, UV light can be easily incorporated into central HVAC system or installed as a standalone units, and the addition to existing SI system will not restrict the flow or cause additional external static pressure. Now, last but not least, I'm going to introduce this simple yet important solution, which is already in existence with most, if not all, of our air handling unit equipment, big or small. Now, all airside equipment, whether we are talking about air handling units, fan coil units, will have some form of air filtration system. The only question is that, how effective is our current air filtration system? Now, most commercial buildings, such as malls and offices, have pre-filter of around 25% dust spot efficiency, and secondary filter having 60 to 85% dust spot efficiency above 1 micron. Now, in fact, it is not surprising that in some older buildings, only pre-filters are installed in air handlers. So you can just imagine, right, how much dust the filter can capture. One important point to note is that dry media or filter media increase in efficiency as they collect dirt and dust. So as such, right, a dry filter media is always at its lowest efficiency rating when it's clean. The increase in efficiency corresponds to the decrease in open area as the media collects vibros and particles. In dust critical environments, the users typically cannot wait for the increase in efficiency. Now, also linking back, right, to the previous IAQ solution I presented and using UV light as an example, I hope to bring the importance of air filtration to everyone's attention. When UV lights and traditional ionizer are being used, they will typically leave solid particles behind. Example is that, the UV light would zap the microorganisms, but they do not remove the dead, flaky particles they leave behind. So for that, air filtration is required. Now, given today's environment and situation, we are advocating the change of secondary filters, right, to high efficiency types such as HEPA filters. HEPA filters are the only mechanical air filters that are tested and certified to meet a specific efficiency at a specific particle size. And all HEPA air filters must meet a minimum efficiency of at least 99.97% at 0.3 microns. Now, HEPA is very effective only on particle matters removal, but unfortunately, it will not be effective on mold, spores, bacteria, viruses, and cannot be used to treat VOCs and gaseous compounds. Now, HEPA can be easily incorporated into existing air handling units, especially if there's already a secondary air filtration section in the AHU. But the complication is that HEPA filter can only have, well, the complication is that HEPA filter have an initial pressure drop as high as 250 Pascal or more. So this may result in the need of upgrading of fan motor and an increase in energy cost. Now, of course, with all this said, right, if HEPA cannot be an option, we do encourage building owners to at least upgrade their current filters to the highest possible efficiency to improve IAQ. Now, with this, my parting remark is that we need to improve indoor air quality, and we need to do this very fast. I hope that the takeaway from this section is that we can adopt at least one or two of these solutions to help combat the current pandemic situation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Samit. So today I'm just going to run you what we are finding as we return to work and we take it as our new norm, how we can go and focus on the health and safety of our occupants using these buildings. That becomes one of our top priority. So based on that, what we have done is we have been doing this in the past in pre-COVID days in silo products. What we did is we have come up with a solution which stitches these 4 key outcomes. So number 1 is very much focused on social distancing, where what we are doing is we are monitoring the social distancing in real time. We help in doing and sending violation alerts and enable the compliance reporting, especially for our HR team who can go and do the entire social distancing scorecard for all the employees to make the future of the offices with a social distancing scorecard of 0. So that's number 1 outcome which we are focusing on. Number 2, where we are focusing is we are adding a capability of contact tracing, which is helping in understanding all our people and spaces, what we are getting used and where it is getting impacted. What it's doing is it's helping us to understand the risk of the time and the duration of the exposure. And then what we are doing is we wanted to use that same capability so that we can even manage the risk when we are having our visitors going and visiting these buildings. The third focus where we are putting the key outcomes is focused around how we actively manage the space usage. So based, as you can see in contact tracing, we are mapping the people and the space. So we wanted to be very we wanted to be careful that if, let's say, we have an employee which has been who has COVID positive, how we can go and do a complete wayfinding of that employee once he has left from contact tracing, as well as when we enter into dynamic spaces. It helps us in procedures on how we do sanitization status, occupancy data, and how we do a safe wayfinding. And this leads us to the future, like once COVID gets resolved, all these data can be utilized for our property managers to even do the space utilization capability. And the last piece which we wanted to focus is health of the employee is very important. So we wanted the application to have a capability so that we can support the occupational health and safety posture and guidance, capability of doing duress options in case of a lone employee in the building, and how we can enhance the employee care. Next. So now what I will do is I'll take you through one of the journey maps of all these 4 solutions, which will in this journey map will show you how the is the journey of the new normal. So in the extreme left hand side, you can see it's an occupant which receives a social distancing alert. What she does in this case is she checks the alert to see what guidance is offered and acknowledges the alert, which helps her, and she does this in her mobile phone, which helps herself to reposition herself as per the guidance which we provide. And this, she can even see in the phone what is the social distancing score, so that she can adjust based on her action. So we can actually even manage what sort of behavior she's seeing over the pattern of how she's doing her social distancing score. As we go in the second case, you can see the occupant now receives, there is a scenario where now we find an occupant who has come and receives a positive diagnosis. What the immediate action he can do through his mobile phone is he leaves immediately and contacts HR for the support. And this helps us in focusing on healing while the HR initiates a contact trace. So as we move from there into the third use case is, now the HR receives the notification from the occupant that they are infected. So what they end up doing is they contact the backend team so that we can understand from that employee what sort of contact trace he has done in terms of people as well as in terms of space. Number two, it helps us in ensuring that our occupants receive the communication on a new process, and we go and ensure that any impacted employees or occupants are well supported. And lastly, the fourth option is our building team uses our location-based services to go and do this request for contact trace. So this example can help us helps the HR team to understand what's the risk data. We can do a complete analysis of what has been the contact tracing procedure, and it helps us in giving a tracking and reporting on our compliance. So this entire process from a building team the entire building team manages this in terms of spaces, and they understand the people movement. So you can see the entire process the process involves how we go and register the badge activity, which is done as per the privacy laws of GDPR. Then it goes and helps in understanding the record contacts made in real time, in time and duration. Then number three, it helps in how we can track the space and occupants in real time. Number four helps in how we can send these alerts to these occupants in the spaces. And then we can notify our FM on social distancing violations and corrections of the spaces. And we do this entire trace contacts if needed. So today, what we wanted to do in this is, next slide, please. So as you can see, the three technologies which we have done is we are using capabilities which are used on smart cards, which are Bluetooth enabled hardware, which go and send accurate movements on 1.5 meters for each individual against each other. This entire data feed goes into our platform, which we call the Johnson Controls Enterprise Management, which has a tab which we call the location-based services. And you can see the three scenarios here is in the left-hand side, you can see a heat map, which goes and gives us a mapping of the highly utilized area. On the right-hand side, you can see a social distancing and occupancy map. And you can see three different color shades there, So the red means that people who are getting a notification in their app that they are not following the social distancing norm. The blue means that there is an opportunity of the people who are in the red fence to go into a blue fence, and the green means that people are already following the social distancing norm. And the way we do this is in the extreme bottom, you can see we have alerts, So these alerts, like an example I can give you is, let's say in the red box, if you have that box is limited for 2 people, and now we have 3 people there, and it's the third people is there for the last 30 minutes, we will go and say that there's a social distancing alert for critical for the last 30 minutes, So that's how we are doing this entire social distancing alerts. And that entire alerts, let's say now there is a person who has been contacted with positive, we can go in the left-hand side, and you can see we can contact trace it based on the space and based on the exposure of the occupants he has been interacting over the last 90 days. So we have the data for those sort of processing. And on the extreme right-hand side, what we wanted to do is we wanted to give this capability in the app so that we can have the space readiness for hot desking, meeting room availability, and wayfinding. So what we are hearing as we speak to a lot of customers, the feedback which we are hearing is social distancing and contact tracing is good, but it is a very much corrective procedure which we are going and putting. How do we have a capability where we can even go and add a capability of preventive procedures? So it's looking at the preventive procedures, what we have done is in the occupant engagement app, we have a capability. Let's say if I'm working from home, I can go in advance and book my space if I am working in an agile environment. And that space will be smart enough in understanding that it is following all the social distancing norm. So basically we have two ways of correction. One is a preventive, and then the social distancing scorecards help us to ensure that we are having a complete error-free, zero contact environment in the office for the health of our employees. Next, please. So as we go from the same, so this entire solution which I talked to you was very much focused around the built environment. As we move from the built environment and focus ourselves in the retail and the banking space, what we found out is in the public spaces, we have a capability which we are introducing, which we call our video-based AI platform, which is used for our safe distancing alerts in public spaces. So what this does is it does three functions, very focused around the social distancing, by doing this, we do a density calculation based on lane and aisle. Number two, it's clever enough to understand the limited occupancy and how we can go and enforce improve hygiene capabilities based on total occupancy. And the third piece is, if let's say in a space we have a lot of people, let's say in case of a hospital or a healthcare who are not wearing masks, we can even go, the AI is clever to go and do a face mask detection, which helps in people wearing the face mask or other objects such as clothes, scarf, and anything. So we can generate alarms for any violation using this entire capability, which we are doing for a retail, banking, or a healthcare space, very much for a public environment. Next slide, please. So as we see today, what we are doing is we are building a solution for today with a plan for tomorrow. So we always had different silo products which were focused around occupant comfort, which was focused around social distancing, and which were focused around the space game. What we have done is, with this post-COVID return to work, we have stitched this together with a data-driven and a people-focused approach, which now helps us in stitching and giving this one seamless experience to all of our customers. With this, what I want to do is I want my colleague Julian to talk about our enterprise platform, which we call GEM here, which today is doing our space analytics, and he will talk about how the same platform is helping in driving remote maintenance and sustainability initiative.
Thank you, Samit. And just before we go to the next slide, we'll just take a quick poll. So as Deepak mentioned at the start, if you can just indicate here, for social distancing, contact tracing, and the dynamic spaces that Samit just went through, which of these or all of these that you would be interested in. And we will use the results of the poll, in preparing to come back to you with more information for the solution that you've expressed most interest for. Okay, Sam, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julian. The fourth focus point we'd like to cover today is around sustainability. And this includes how we can ensure your facilities, buildings run optimally, but also taking into account the desire to manage the number of personnel on site to operate and also to maintain that building, which is, of course, even more relevant today. So with the Johnson Controls Enterprise Management Platform, we're able to remotely monitor the building control systems. And in addition, we can also use command and control to change set points, schedules, or even control the equipment directly itself where necessary from the cloud. And we can do this for a single building, or we can do it for multiple buildings, all from a single view anywhere in the world, which really means that there's more flexibility and efficiency in how you manage the operation of key building systems. And it also helps to safeguard possible exposure risks for those on-site employees. Ken had already talked about the importance of indoor air quality. And through this platform, we can also monitor temperatures, humidity, and CO2 values where we have sensors in place throughout that building. And from that data, we can also then identify top deviations from the set points by space. And then we can, of course, then take actions accordingly. Ongoing maintenance management continues to be a big focus to ensure system continuity optimization of service tasks, and also easier budgeting for equipment repairs and upgrades. And we're using advanced fault detection and diagnostics to help predict and inform maintenance needs, as well as system performance. So by using a condition-based maintenance model and being able to see detailed reports on equipment and system health, work orders, service reports, and also key KPIs, it means that you get a full picture of how the building systems are operating, and also any needed work to ensure continued optimal performance, and also mitigating risks for any problems. Lastly, we use an AI prediction model to aid energy consumption forecasting for building demand. So this enables a greater focus on operating cost optimization of the building operation. And of course, this can also be combined with the other key elements mentioned on this slide. And also, as Samit mentioned when he talked about the location-based services, that can also be integrated into the Johnson Controls Energy Management Platform, Enterprise Management Platform. So this altogether means that you can manage, maintain, operate your facility more efficiently, and also it helps to safeguard the on-site personnel, whether they're operating or servicing equipment. And again, this is something that also Simon had touched on. So with that, we'd like to do another quick poll. Okay, so we've talked on remote monitoring and operation, indoor air quality monitoring, maintenance management, energy analysis. So again, if you can just tick the box for which one or which ones of those you would be interested in finding out more information, and we will use that to follow up with you after today's webinar. Sam, and when you're ready, we can move to the next slide. Okay, so to recap today, we've talked about 4 focus areas where Johnson Controls is powering clean, safe, and adaptive environments with solutions that help you meet the requirements of the new normal. So we've talked about safety and security. We covered the thermal camera and frictionless access. We talked about health and wellness, where we covered clean air solutions, air quality monitoring. We talked around social distancing, where we've talked about contact tracing, the monitoring itself of social distancing, and then how do we look towards space management going forward. And then lastly, we just talked about sustainability, how you can remote monitor and manage systems and equipment, how we can drive condition-based maintenance, and also energy analysis. So with that, we're going to move to address some of the questions that have been submitted through the session. So let's see here. So the first question is related to the Illustra Insight that Subra went through. So the question is, can we integrate Illustra with an existing access control application, or a third-party integration is possible? And then which are the inbuilt integrated access control applications? Subra, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so currently the Illustra Insight is only integrated with our Johnson Control System, Secure and CEM. So it's not integrated with any other third party. If there is any opportunity, then we need to talk to the product team.
Okay, thank you. So let's look at one related to the indoor air quality. So the question is, Ken took us through 3 IAQ solutions that Johnson Controls has to offer. Which is the best solution that you would recommend to treat COVID-19? Ken?
Thanks, Julian, and thank you for the question. Now, unfortunately, there's no single technology that can guarantee 100% effectiveness for inactivating this COVID-19 virus. Because it's so new, information on the virus survivability and in the air and on surfaces are being updated very regularly, and new findings are being found every now and then. A balanced approach that utilizes multiple techniques probably is what I can recommend as the best option, right? I highlighted 3 solutions or possible IAQ improvement solutions, namely the bipolar ionization, the ultraviolet light, as well as air filtration. Now, on top of that, I think a few key factors that we also need to take into consideration will also be the amount of fresh air that is being introduced into the building. I think for those with air handling system, right, or airside system, maximizing the use of outside air to displace contaminated air is typically the first technique being utilized. And many times it's also coupled with one or more of the introduced technologies, which I just mentioned. One important note is that where the risk is high in certain locations, such as a reception or waiting area, where there's a lot of people, right? We should consider to make the zone a negative pressure environment, so that we can contain any possibility of virus spread within that zone. Now, I did not highlight this, but we have another solution called the mobile HEPA fan unit, which can quickly help to convert a normal pressure environment into a negative pressure one. Of course, it's not just simply putting in the HEPA mobile exhaust unit, right? There's still a few modifications that we do in order to make that zone into a negative pressure one. So yeah, do feel free to reach out if you need more information.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Next question is to Samit. So does the GEM platform integrate with other systems like CEM or SWH?
Yes, so the answer is yes. Today, GEM is actually a cloud agnostic and a vendor agnostic system. So we can accept third-party any system data. So we support all the major protocols, whether it's BACnet, Modbus, MBus, OPC, KNX, SQL, daily for lighting, APIs for any of the API ingestion. So what I would say is, if you have already done an existing investment in your building in a brownfield, what we would say is we would make the solution work. So the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you, Samit. Subra, on thermal cameras, so a lot of vendors are selling thermal cameras without black body. Do we need a black body, or what is the key benefit to have that? Subra?
Yeah, black body is very important. It's important to ensure the accuracy is maintained plus or minus 0.3. The range going from fever to non-fever is less than 3 degrees, 35 to 38. And the room for error is quite high if the accuracy deviation is about plus or minus. So that's about 33% deviation. So a lot of vendors do not sell that. But again, as time goes by, the error could increase to at least 1 or plus or minus 1 degrees, which could affect the performance of the system itself.
Okay, thank you. Ken, another one back to you. So we talked a lot about air filters. Is upgrading of filter efficiency going to help combat the current situation with COVID-19?
Yep, Julian. So unlike the ultraviolet and bipolar ionization technologies, filter medias are commonly known as static devices, and they actually do not inactivate viruses. Okay, but why I highlighted this as a solution is because filter medias can be effective for trapping particles that contain the virus, and depending on the particle size and the filter minimum efficiency report rating, commonly known as MERV, right? It will be able to remove accordingly. Now, according to a study, right, measurements of airborne influenza virus in aerosol particles from human core Now, 35% of the influenza RNA is contained within the particles above 4 micron in aerodynamic diameters. Now, 23% was in particle between particle size of between 1 to 4 micron, and 42% of them are actually below 1 micron. So if you look at a secondary F7 type of filter, right, which has an average dust spot efficiency of between 80 to 85% above 1 micron, this means that approximately about 2/3 of those particles can be removed through air filtration. So it's really important. I mean, if we only have a simple pre-filter that is probably of 20-30% efficiency, we probably really need to consider to upgrade to a higher efficiency type of filter. Last but not least, air filtration is a good partner, especially when air ionization, right, is being utilized, where smaller particles are merged into large particles, and this can be easily captured by air filters, right? And this can actually, in fact, reduce the particle matter in the in the space that we occupy, right?
Thanks, Ken. Samit, regarding the location-based services, will my employee data be shared on the cloud using the solution?
No, so right now that entire data is complies with the privacy, and the data directly just goes for social distancing, so it doesn't get shared. It's completely confidential, and this can be applied, for any if you're looking at it from a manufacturing or any of those sort of environments, you can easily apply this, so it's completely GDPR privacy protected.
Okay, yeah, thanks. And there's, so I think maybe you covered it, but so there's another question around the same solution. Can that social distancing app be applied to other environments, including both public spaces and also like manufacturing areas? What is the kind of the breadth of the application?
So today, if you look at the social, so that's why I covered it in two pieces. So if you see for the built environment, what we have used is we have used the smart card technology, which goes and maintains the accuracy of the 1.5 meter distancing, because it works on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency. Whereas when you look at a public domain, we are looking at it more from a video analytics, so that we can look at it more from a public perspective, So I would say there are two different applications. For built environment, we are looking at it with smart badges. If you have invested in any of the other third-party sensor technology, we can even look at it. But the smart badges actually gives the accuracy if you're going into contact tracing.
Okay, thank you. So I think we've just got a couple of minutes left. So what we will do is we will pick up any remaining questions, and as Deepak mentioned at the beginning, we will put them together into an FAQ and send them out. So just to kind of wrap up today, this is really concluding our webinar. I'd like to thank you all for taking your valuable time to join us, and also thank the presenters for talking about these different solutions and also answering the questions. So a quick recap, we will send out the meeting material presented today, along with that summary of the questions and the answers. And then also our team will also follow up with each of you in the following days, just to ensure that we fully addressed any questions or areas of interest that you submitted through. And we hope that the session has been very relevant and useful. We also welcome the opportunity to discuss further with you how these exciting solutions we've shared can help you and your businesses to have a safe and efficient reopening post-COVID-19 and move to the new normal. So finally, please continue to stay safe. We thank you for all of your business and your partnership with Johnson Controls. And thank you once again for your time today. Thank you very much.